Carlson. I've got Dana at the front. Dana is manning the front, and she'll be taking phone calls if anybody has a question. Listener, if you want to ask a question of Dr. Carlson, we can jot that down and get that to him, get you an answer. We can talk about that on the backside. This is Apologetics for Dummies. Dr. Carlson texted me the cheat sheet for this week's episode, which is episode 3, and I did what any dummy would do. I ignored that cheat sheet. It was very kind. I barely got in my own study time this week.
We love you, Brandon.
Oh man, I thought it was a pretty picture, but it's real. And thank God it's free. Dr. Carlson, we were talking about are we in the 3 E's?
We are doing the 3 E's.
Now we're talking about eternity.
You know what? Eternity, that's right.
Eternity.
So the reason I like being on with you, Brandon, is you keep it real. You keep it real, you're down to earth, you want to be practical. And I know you're no dummy. We've got Apologetics for Dummies, round number 3 here. Now the first week, if you remember, we talked about the first E, and that is the empty tomb. And we realized that it's a fact that Jesus' tomb was empty. They didn't know how it became empty, but we know as Christians it was the resurrection. So the empty tomb, the first E, and you can talk with people about the resurrection. Now, the second E, we dealt with the atheist. How do I talk with an atheist and plant that seed? Well, we looked at another E, the eye, the human eye, and the irreducible complexity. You love that term, I know you did, of the human eye. And how, oh, by the way, I realized, Brandon, I looked up in a given second. Remember I said billions of photons it takes in? It actually takes in 40 quadrillion photons in a second. 40 quadrillion in a second the AI processes. So I got that wrong.
Quadrillion is a
quadrillion, yep, that's a number. And then finally, so we've got the third eye here. We're going to talk about, again, discussions with the atheist about the E of eternity. Eternity. Now, when I talk about that, Brian, what I'm saying is something must be eternal. Something must be eternal that's always been around. And we're going to talk about that concept. What do you think about that?
Well, so somebody, paint me a picture here. So now I am me, and I'm faced with the question from an atheist.
Yes.
What is the question?
Well, the atheist is telling you, hey, well, we know that we don't need to have a God because there's the Big Bang. We just explain how we're here by the Big Bang. And you, as a Christian, then say what?
Well, first I have a problem with the mathematical accuracy of everything. It sure does seem to have a supreme design to it all, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know, I could take a bunch of BBs and throw them at a target. It doesn't mean I'm going to hit a bullseye at all. So I'm just saying, one big shot, you got a lot of things right. I don't know.
Brandon, you're actually exactly right taking that track with an atheist in terms of the fine-tunedness of the universe. And we're going to get into that. But with regard to that third E of eternity, what I want to point out to you is something must be eternal. Now, you can just say with the atheist, they bring up the Big Bang. You can say, you know what, I'll accept that contention that you say there's a Big Bang that happened. Maybe God did use a Big Bang. And so they call that a singularity. But the question you need to ask is this: where did the singularity come from? Where did the matter and energy of what supposedly produced the Big Bang, the singularity, where did that come from? There is no answer. See, ultimately, an atheist or these scientists who accept that, if they don't believe in a God, they have to accept this notion. Okay, they have to accept this. Follow me here, listener. That nothing, or that something, the singularity or whatever, all the matter and energy in this universe came from nothing. Now, if you ever saw the movie Sound of Music, you've seen that movie, right?
I've slept through most of it.
Julie, it's a great movie. Okay, I took my wife on the Sound of Music tour in Germany, and she in Austria. She loved it. Okay, now listen here. Julie Andrews sings, "Nothing comes from nothing, nothing ever could." Remember that? Nothing comes from nothing. Yet the evolutionist and the atheist says something came from nothing. You see, something must be eternal. We now know, Brandon, that the universe cannot be eternal. Here's the greatest physicist in the world, Paul Davies, and he says this in his book, The Last 3 Minutes. What's going to happen in the universe at the end? He says this: all the evidence now points to a universe that has a limited lifespan. It came into existence at some finite time into the past, meaning it had a beginning. It is currently vibrant with activity, but it is inevitably degenerating towards a heat death at some stage in the future. Now, what he's saying is, and by the way, Paul Davies is the greatest astrophysicist in the world. And he says this, that the universe had a beginning. All astrophysicists have to accept that contention. It had a beginning because of entropy. It's vibrant with activity, and it's going to have a heat death at the end, meaning we call that the ultimate heat death or big freeze of the universe where everything just stops and there's no more activity. It's done. We cease to exist. And what a meaningless existence that is. Ultimately, we're just going to be, everything's annihilated to oblivion, and there's no meaning, there's no purpose, and we're dead.
So
and
something
what a
came
contrast
from
to the
nothing and
fact.
then returns to nothing.
Right.
That's
So
heavy.
now, think about this. Something must be eternal. What if we give the answer of the book of Genesis, where in the beginning, who created? God. And this God, he is a person, he's a being, he's not matter energy, he's a spiritual being that has no need for a beginning, has no need for an end. In fact, he says, I am the Alpha and the Omega. In fact, he tells Moses, I am that I am. His name is, that Hebrew word means, I cannot not exist. I cannot not exist. He's telling Abraham, I am eternal, I am. So if we ask the question, something must be eternal, it cannot be the universe, what else options do we have? It's Almighty God, the Alpha and Omega. And you can use that with an atheist at that starting point. It's called the cosmological argument. Everything needs a cause for its existence, and yet God is the uncaused cause. He needs no cause whatsoever. And so we call the Alpha and Omega our creator. Now, does that get you to Christianity? No. But it does get you to Creator that launched everything in motion, Brandon. And it's a very powerful argument. Now, you mentioned fine-tunedness. Let's go there. Let's go there real quick. You said last week, remember you said, well, it's amazing how the Earth is perfectly situated away from the sun, and it's perfect distance. Well, that's more true than you think.
The blonde zone.
The Goldilocks zone,
yes,
correct.
Yes.
But it's more true than you think. The Earth-Moon-Sun system is so precise that if you change that, as I said last week, even one iota, we cease to exist. But it even goes further to the very speeds that we're going. Do you know right now, Brandon, that we are going at four enormous speeds? Everyone can relate to this. So listeners out there that are driving their cars are going at a speed right now, right? It's probably 55, 60 miles an hour. Do you know right now, as the Earth is rotating, we are going 1,000 miles per hour? You can't feel it. You're just sitting here standing in the radio studio, but you're going 1,000 miles per hour every 23 hours and 56 minutes, right? Then, think about this. The Earth revolves around the sun, right? Every year, 365 days. We are revolving around the sun 67,000 miles per hour. But you don't feel it, do you? Okay? By the way, that speed has to be exact or we're all dead. Oh, and it gets better. The Earth is part of the solar system. And by the way, the solar system is a vortex. It's going through the galaxy as a vortex because we're revolving on the sun and the sun is also moving, right?
Yeah, right there is where you got to take a breath.
All right.
Okay, that's for
guess
me
how
and
fast
here, okay?
Guess how fast the solar system is revolving around the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Guess how fast?
1.5 million miles an hour.
490,000 miles per hour.
Man.
So you are now going 1,000 miles per hour and 67,000 miles per hour and 490,000 miles per hour. Oh, it gets better. Guess how fast our entire galaxy is headed towards Andromeda, our sister galaxy?
I have no idea. I've gone cross-eyed.
2,236,000 miles per hour. Of course, the speed of light is 671 million miles per hour, so we're close. We're close to the speed of light. 2,236,000. Now, guess what? If you look at all those speeds that we're going right now, you can't feel it because you're just stuck in this radio studio right now. But you are traveling millions of miles per hour right now in terms of the galaxy and the solar system, the Earth. And guess what? Do you know that our Earth and our solar system is perfectly positioned within our galaxy and within our universe so that we can thrive and survive as human beings? It is that fine-tuned. In fact, it's fine-tuned down to the atomic level. If you change anything at the atomic level, even one iota, we cease to exist. Everything is fine-tuned down to the atomic level, down to the macro level. God is eternal. God is the Alpha and Omega. He is the creator, Brandon. You got me preaching, brother.
Keep going. And thank God that he became a man for just a little while, because it's physics to a third grader.
And can you believe that creator that created all those galaxies and in our galaxy, in our solar system, and our Earth became one of us? But you better believe he had the power. Why did the wind and the waves obey him? Because he created those wind and the waves.
them.
That's right.
He
He created
wrote
the
the
atoms in
code.
those. He wrote the code. Why was he able to walk through walls when he saw the disciples of the resurrection? Because he created the atoms in all those walls. You see, we have a creator that is so incredible that can create this entire universe and yet loves you, became one of us to save you. We are truly his children. We are infinitely valuable to God. Never forget that. And that we're going to talk about that next week, Brandon. Again, one more talk with the atheist about the personal attributes of God and how your personality, your image, your consciousness, your self-awareness, your emotion, your creativity, all that comes from the personal God who gave you those things so that you can enjoy him forever.
Self-worth, is a struggle for many of us, right? Who am I? You know, I look forward to getting into that next week.
In fact, next week we're going to look at this. We're going to look at this. We're going to do another E, okay? There are 10 attributes that humans possess that no animal possesses. Where do you get those attributes? They're personal attributes. They come from the personal God. In fact,
Yes.
of the 82 countries that I've been to and talked to people about God, atheists around the world, that's the most powerful argument that sticks. Because people say, yeah, like, where did I get these personal attributes from? My ability to love, my creativity, my language, my ability to reason, to make spaceships and supercomputers and all this radio equipment in here. Animals can't do that. Human beings do that. Why do we have those abilities? They come from God. We are truly His children. He's just infinitely so. He's infinitely reason. He's infinitely creative. He's infinitely loving. But we have those attributes from God. We're going to talk about that next week. And again, these are things that you can plant seeds with an atheist to show them, to point them to the eternal, one true eternal God who did, you're right, Brandon, become one of us in the person of Jesus Christ.
We do this every Wednesday from 4:50 to 5. It's Apologetics for Dummies. If you've been listening for any portion of the program, you can guess which one I am. And that's Dr. Carlson over there. And this is doing unexpected things in my faith. We're 3 episodes in now, and I thank you for that. And there's a listener, I don't know his or her name, but they're going through the same thing. So thank you for that, and I look forward to next week. So
That's
next
great.
week, send me the cheat sheet,
Yep.
and maybe we should consider putting the cheat sheet up on the website or something.
We'll do that. And listener, never forget. We talked about 3 things now. The 3 E's. Never forget the empty tomb. Never forget the human eye, which God created. That incredible design. And never forget eternity. Because the only being in this universe that's eternal is Almighty God.
God. Dr. Carlson, will you hang out and pray the Lord's Prayer with us?
Absolutely.
I think Dana's going to lead us today, so you're off the hook. And will you come back next Wednesday?
Absolutely.
Next
I'll
Wednesday.
be here.
I look forward to it. Hey, as we usually do about this time, now 3 minutes into 5 o'clock, we thank the feds for listening to the program, and now we make the FCC happy with this.